Hello and welcome to the Fleet News Group podcast. Today you have a new host, Marc Sibbald. I'm the editor of Fleet News Group and I'm stepping in for Carolyn Falls, running this podcast with our guest today, Frank Agostino from Paywise. Welcome, Frank, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've known each other for a number of years and Paywise has been a good friend of the Fleet News Group for many years. So with everything that's happening in novated, I'm glad we finally get a chance to have a chat.
And it's great. It's great that, unfortunately Caroline's not here, but you're stepping in, and like you say, I've known you for a very long time. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk novated.
Excellent. So, talking novated, let's start talking about the market in 2024. It seems like everyone's talking about novated leasing now, even in the mainstream media. I pick up the Financial Review, there's something on novated leasing. Is it the FBT exemption? Is that the biggest change that's made everyone interested in novated and salary packaging all of a sudden?
Look, absolutely. The FBT exemption for EVs, electric vehicles, has been a significant game changer for novated leasing. It's made novated leasing more attractive, accessible to a broader audience. So the exemption not only encourages the adoption of environmentally friendly vehicles, but also provides substantial financial benefits to employees, making it a hot topic both in the industry and mainstream media, which we've never really had in our industry. The media seems to be talking about it a lot. And interestingly, the EV policy is also whilst it's putting the novated leasing in the spotlight, it's not only just for EVs. So the increased publicity around novated leasing and novated leases is helping people recognise the savings that they can achieve even with their current ICE vehicle or their internal combustion engine vehicle. So the broader awareness is driving more interest in novated leasing across the board, benefiting all types of vehicles, right?
Yeah, wow. So when do you think the activity started? Because it's a couple of years ago now that the Labor government was announced or came in federally. They said they were going to do it. Was it sort of late in November it got ratified? Did it switch on straight away, or did it take a while to ramp up with the inquiries?
Yeah, look, it took a little while. It took a little while for people to recognise what was going on, and still it's sort of a case of that too good to be true. Let me look into it a little bit further. It's getting to the point now, though, where it's been in the news for 12 to 18 months consistently across the whole industry, and now people are starting to think, what am I missing out on? So, like our group in itself, the Paywise group has been in a positive trajectory since 2017, steadily growing in recognition. But the EV policy's recently given us that the whole industry to a significant boost in exposure. It's an excellent employee benefit that doesn't cost the employer anything, right? So with our advanced systems and processes, there's small, minimal effort required from employers in partnering with us. So we help them. The mentality we take is that we help them attract, retain, reward staff effectively, just making the whole process seamless. Now, the salary packaging industry is not just novated, so we've got several advantages that contribute to the heightened level of activity.
Yeah, we might get into that a bit later on, talking about what other salary packaging options there are. So I suppose, getting an EV, it's a new experience for a lot of people. So it's been you probably had customers that had EVs for a year or so now, and you guys are great at maintaining that relationship through the lease. What sort of feedback are you getting about the ownership experience with electric vehicles from your customers? Are they liking it, or they can't wait to get back to an ICE car? What are you hearing?
If you wind it right back, we're very fortunate enough to have a pool of loan cars, Mark. And what we do, if someone's umming and ahhing about whether EV's right for them, we'll often lend it to them. And 99 times out of 100, they come back to us and say, I love that. I don't ever want to shift anything. And I'll give you an example. We had and this is polar opposite to, in terms of what make and models the car was. The fella fisherman like myself, driving a 200 series Land Cruiser, has a couple of kids, wife and 2 kids, and I said to him, he's a big 6'5" footballer, Mark, that plays at the West Coast Eagles. I said, mate, why don't you try a Tesla 3 for a couple of weeks? It's now 12 months later, and Jeremy still has the car. So the people that you would think that wouldn't like the EV alternative swear by it now. And like our customers are enjoying the transitions to EVs, appreciating not only the cost in savings and fuel and maintenance, but to a certain extent, and the positive environmental impact. And like I said, Paywise has the access to the loan cars, so we provide potential members to help them experience the EVs firsthand. So even if a member doesn't proceed with a lease for whatever reason, we're doing our part to educate people on what we believe the future will look like, and focus on educating people, busting some of those myths around charging. For instance, many people think that charging an EV is inconvenient, but with a growing network of fast chargers and the ability to charge at home overnight, it's actually very convenient. So yeah, and the other part of it is, Mark, is the range of modern EVs is more than sufficient for daily commuting and even long trips, right? So it addresses the concerns about range anxiety. So the feedback from these experiences has been very positive.
So maybe just on that home charging aspect, because that's something that people kind of struggle with conceptually, but in my experience, most people do 30, 40 kilometres a day, and you can plug that into your power point at home quite easily to regenerate or get the charge you need. So are you having much complications with the whole home charging, installing chargers? Like, is that an issue for people, or
it's just around, I mean, it's exactly what I said. It's just busting some of those myths around charging, exactly what you said. You get, 30, 40%, 30, 40 kilometres a day, where if you plug your Tesla in overnight, you gain some of that back. So you find yourself only fast charging, once a week, once a fortnight, really, if necessary. And you'll see, and I'm sure you've seen in the East, as we have in the West, and even in Darwin. I was in Darwin last week, and the chargers are popping up everywhere in places you'd never think.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Like, I suppose I drive around Sydney quite a bit, and it'll be a month I've been to one part of Sydney, and next thing you know, there's chargers in a service station or something being built. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe let's step back a bit and talk about you and Paywise. How long have you been doing this? Like novated leasing, you've been doing it for a while, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've been doing this at Fleet Network since 2010, Mark, as a leasing consultant, and I gradually worked myself into my current position, and I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of great role models and mentors along the way. None more influential than Dad. Dad, plumber. He taught me through his actions that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I was very fortunate enough to be able to learn off of Dad, even though he wasn't sort of talking me through, you have to work hard, that sort of mentality. I just saw through his actions that he'd wake up, he'd be the first one to work at 6 a.m, he'd be home very late, and then he'd do it all again the next day. And then when I got to Fleet Network, Eric Kane was my first real boss, and he was the majority shareholder of Fleet Network, and he instilled this importance of highly personalised service and care in the fastest response times imaginable. And whilst he didn't say it in those words, it's exactly what Eric taught me. And finally, Cameron McCullough, who's the majority shareholder at COG, who's our parent company, has taught me the most important asset in any business is the people, and the CEO should focus on serving his team above all else, or their team above all else. So Fleet Network acquired Paywise in 2023, April 2023, and it's a match made in heaven, right? So Fleet Network had always been, and Cameron would hate me saying this, but Fleet Network has always been the underdog, right? Known for its highly personalised service care, fast response times, and our clients loved us for it. 4.9 Google star rating, many happy members. So whilst we were excellent at writing novated leases, we lacked the necessary software and processes to service big government contracts. Paywise, on the other hand, is renowned for all this, right? So the administration of novated leasing and the other salary packaging benefits, which they're great at. the software is industry leading, and they manage large government contracts already with unparalleled scalability. So within our group, there's also a Paywise. They're based out of Chatswood in New South Wales. So the acquisition of Paywise has enabled us to win some significant contracts over the last 12 months. So, and there's many more on the horizon. So we've got around 190 staff now, adding on average, adding on average sort of 15 staff a month. And later in the year, we'll be rebranding Fleet Network and Paywise brand to Paywise, which will reflect our unified approach in offering top tier salary packaging services.
Not quite a scoop, because I know your staff are well aware of it, but I'll say heard it here first. Rebranding to Paywise.
Well, yes, exactly, and that's great because the staff have heard, but we are trying to get this to market as much as possible.
Yeah. So maybe just a quick, so you've mentioned it a couple of times, salary packaging, it's not just about cars. You can do laptops, you can do a whole lot of other things too, depending on the industry, mainly government industry, that allows you to do the salary packaging. What things can you salary package?
Well, depending on the industry or the organisation or the government department, not-for-profits. Like, for instance, hospitals, charities, not-for-profit have additional benefits that they have access to, such as FBT exemption caps, which allow employees to salary package more without incurring fringe benefits tax. So it makes it, packaging particularly advantageous for those sectors. But at Paywise, we offer salary packaging on wide array of items beyond just vehicles. So that does, like you said, include laptops and additional super contributions, remote area benefits, even work-related expenses. So, Fleet Network never did that, Mark. So when we came across Paywise and they did, it's super important for government organisations and charities to have those benefits available to them.
Yeah. So maybe just talking about that as far as who can benefit. So you mentioned the government organised. With novated leasing, is there a size of business? Like, you need to be a big business, or is there an industry that benefits more than another? Like, who could offer their employees novated leasing?
Oh, anyone can offer their employees novated leases. While businesses of all sizes and industries can benefit from salary packaging or novated leasing, we often see the most significant uptake in sectors with larger workforces and higher salary earners. So healthcare, education, government, these sectors typically have employees who benefit greatly from tax savings associated with salary packaging or SELPAC. So it's quite an attractive offer. The ATO provides specific thresholds and benefits that can be leveraged by various organisations, right? So like I said earlier, for instance, public hospitals, charities, not-for-profit, they access additional, such as the FBT exemption cap, which allows the employees to salary package more without incurring fringe benefits, and it does become better for them. Now, employers in these sectors offer salary packaging to attract and retain staff, right, by enhancing the overall REM package without increasing payroll costs. So this is especially beneficial in competitive industries where retaining skilled workers is crucial, and that is something we focus pretty heavily on. And
I've actually got a bit of a story. I work with an industry association, and it's only a small group, but one of their employees is actually a Carwise customer. And out of the 10 or 15 employees, he's the one with a novated lease, and he's always raving about it. So the service is great. I think he just got himself a new Subaru Outback. So it's his second novated lease with Carwise. So he's loving it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's nice to hear.
So maybe the audience that are listening, there's benefits, there's savings. Give me the elevator pitch. Like, do you have how much am I going to save? I know there's, depending on how much I earn, what I buy, there's a lot of variables, but do you have a rule of thumb? How much money am I going to save by maybe getting a $60,000 or $70,000 car as a novated lease?
The elevator pitch that I suggest to my staff to use to keep it nice and simple, right, Mark? Because novated leasing, there's lots of numbers involved, but it's quite simply, novated leasing is a smart way to finance your vehicle by allowing to pay for it using your pre-tax salary. which reduces your taxable income, increases your take-home pay. So it covers all vehicle-related expenses, including finance, fuel, insurance, rego, servicing, tyres, maintenance. Now, depending on the salary and the vehicle you choose, you could save thousands of dollars over the lease of the term. And I think by simplifying it that way, depending on the car you choose, obviously, your savings will depend on that, and your salary, of course.
But there's
I like to keep it very simple.
Yeah. So you're not quite giving me the answer here, because the audience wants to know dollars. But maybe if we just, one tip, because I don't think a lot of people understand this, the GST, the way the GST works with a lease, like that's a 10% straight away, isn't it? On fuel, on savings.
Yeah, on the purchase price of the vehicle up front, and then all the running costs as well. So if you work on that fact alone, if you think about, if we're not talking about EVs for a second and we're talking about an ICE vehicle, you would save 40 cents in fuel alone, based on the fact that, saving on your taxable income and the GST savings.
Yeah.
So there's a really nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure in Perth, but I know on the East Coast I've seen people lining up at service stations to save 2 or 3 cents a litre. So 40 cents is pretty big.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And the whole being able to budget and know exactly for a $40,000 car, knowing that $500 a fortnight, circa $500 a fortnight, is going to be reduced in your take-home pay, but that's your car covered for 4 or 5 years.
And no bill shock when you need tyres or the rego papers land or anything like that.
Correct.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, let's get back and talking about cars a little bit. What are you driving? What's your motive? Are you an A to B person? Are you passionate about a car? Or are you an EV person now? What are you driving?
I'm very much an EV person now. I'm going to contradict it a little bit and let you know that, like I think I said earlier, I'm an avid fisherman. So I need a certain car to get me down to some of those spots down south of Perth. So I've got a 300 series Land Cruiser as it sits now, but yesterday, like I said, we've got a big pool of the luxury of picking a car out of the pool that we have. In the last 3 or 4 months, I get to drive lots of different cars. I yesterday got out of a Toyota BZ4X, which I loved. I thought that was a fantastic car, and I should have known anything with a Toyota badge seems to go very well. I should have known that they'd get that right. But yeah, BYDs and Tesla Model Ys. I'm 6'4", so I need something a little bit bigger. The 300 series Land Cruiser allows me to experience, the beach as much as I love driving around the city in a Tesla Y. The 300 series Land Cruiser allows me to enjoy the hobby.
Yeah, well, that sort of comes back to our core, fleet news group. We talk about fit for purpose with vehicle selection, and you've explained it there. You use it for fishing, you use it for beach work. The Cruiser is fit for purpose, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Well, what about the top 5 novated lease cars people are buying in 2024? What are the most popular cars that you're finding people purchase?
Yep. We've recently done a little study on this in the last 12 months, coming to the end of financial year. We've done a little bit of study on this, and we found in 2024, the financial year, the top 5 cars that people are doing a novated lease on at top is Tesla Tesla Model 3. Number 2 is Tesla Model Y. Number 3 is BYD Atto 3.
Oh, wow.
Number 4 is the Ford Ranger. And in 5th is the Mitsubishi Outlander. So you can see, given the FBT exemption, it's definitely shifted the market towards those EVs.
Yeah, those Outlanders, because they're available in a plug-in hybrid. Is that a lot of them?
Correct.
You think that's a lot of them? Okay, wow.
Correct. They're highly sought after.
Yeah, well, we know we do an annual survey on novated leasing, and the Ford Ranger's kind of won it the last 3 years in a row, I think. But I think last year the Tesla kind of got close to. I have to go and check. I should know this off the top of my head, but yeah, we certainly saw a change in our survey for 2023.
It's funny, isn't it? Because 5 to 10 years ago, as predominantly fleet, I'm talking from a fleet network point of view, a lot of WA, Northern Territory based members. So the Prados and the Hiluxes and the Land Cruisers were the ones that dominated our market share ranges. But as you can see in that top 5 there, no more Prado, no more Hilux, and I'm sure that's got a lot to do with stock availability.
Yeah, it's kind of that shift where the stocks sort of slowed down, but then the EVs took off. So a bit of a
Correct.
crossover point there. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe just I don't know. In your data, I was just going to ask, like, is there a difference between metro and regional? Because obviously you're a national organisation. You've got offices in Sydney, as you mentioned, and you're serving clients around the country. Does it vary much
Yep.
between states, or is it's fairly consistent now? Like
It's noticeable.
Tesla.
Look, it's noticeable differences across Australia. I think in the regional areas, there's probably not as high as uptake in EVs as there is in the metro areas. You could obviously imagine that it's driven. I suppose once we see some better charging infrastructure in the regional areas, and I suppose some environmental awareness as well in those regional areas, I think you'll find that. I mean, the Toyota product is so prominent in regional WA and Northern Territory. Northern Territory Fleet Network has a government contract, so we supply a lot of vehicles to the workers in Northern Territory government. Whereas in the city here in Perth, in our office around Chatswood and CBD in Sydney, what we find that the uptake of EVs is enormous.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Maybe just to finish off now, because it's been a great chat so far. You've mentioned fishing a few times, but I see a lot on social media, a lot of the work, with footballers. I think a lot of charity work that you guys are involved in. So, what are some of the things that you're doing off the pitch to support, charities and other organisations?
Look, we do a lot. We're very strong believers in giving back, and one of the we do a lot with local sporting clubs all across Australia. One of the things that we're most excited about is that we've recently created an exciting staff incentive where our previous managing director, Neil Allison, is unfortunately not with us anymore. He was big on a foundation called the Edmund Rice Foundation. And that's a community-based organisation that provides educational, vocational, livelihood services to vulnerable communities, and this particular one's in Nairobi in Kenya.
Wow.
So there's a school with supporting the education for children living with disabilities. It's a project, and it was formerly known as the Mary Rice Centre, but we've created a little staff incentive where we're sending 4 staff members to Nairobi, and the initiative is crucial for empowering the children with disabilities through education and resources. So we've got 4 staff going in February next year to give the guys a hand over there in Nairobi. So yeah, we do lots of that sort of stuff, Mark, and we're really proud of that. We're proud that we're able to do that. We're in such a fortunate position. I do a little bit of traveling with work to some third world countries, and we are very, very fortunate. We probably don't appreciate enough how lucky we are to be born into the country we are.
Yeah, the birth lottery, as people talk about quite often. Yeah. All right. Well, Frank, thank you very much. It's been lovely chatting with you. And, as I said, a friend of Fleet News Group for a long time. So it's great to have you on. And it's really exciting, the novated leasing and just the electric vehicle transition, how it's all coming together, because I'm a big fan of electric vehicles. I'll put it out there.
Yes.
I love driving them. And I'm in
drive,
the city, Sydney. Well, I'm lucky enough, like you, to have access to a number of different cars, but I recently gave back an EV9 that I was able to have for a couple of weeks, and magnificent car. I've just gotten into an older model Hyundai now after I gave it back yesterday, and I'm missing the EV9 already. The power, the quietness, the technology. It's a beautiful car.
How about the BMW range? Have you had a chance at that yet?
I've had it in the 3 Series, or the i4 was the latest one that I drove, which was the sedan, and that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. I've got to get myself into some of the iX product. I'll have to reach out to my friends at BMW.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you once again. Really appreciate the chat, and look forward to catching up with you soon next time you're in Sydney.
Thank you, mate. Look forward to that.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
See you, mate.